Okay, hello everybody. This is another video. Could have been a YouTube short. I need to get with that program, but right now I just wanted to post a quick video for the owner of this really cool 1911 to 1914 BSA. Apparently they were known as sporting, wait, I got it here, sporting pattern. After my last video, someone contacted me via text that saw the video and owns about 30 of these pre-war guns and had a lot of information to share about them. Thank you very much. You know, I actually don't think I even got your name, but thank you. He shares with me that the gun originally had twin counterwound springs and that the spring from an HW50 or a BSA Air Sporter / Mercury works in these guns. So Mr. Client, maybe take a note of that if you want to replace the spring. It's easily done. This spring seems to be in okay shape. I don't know what kind of performance these guns were intended to do or what they did originally, but I first shot, well, also let me correct myself. I misspoke. No, I didn't misspeak. I spoke what I meant, but I was not informed. That I thought, because of this loading tap looking the way it does, there have been some round ball shooters I've seen that are kind of like that, and I assumed it took a round ball, but no, you open this up and you drop a pellet in there, and then when you turn this, when you close this, it rotates the pellet to be in line with the bore. Pretty cool, huh? So, knowing that, after I knew that, I first shot it with some heavy lead just to be a nice soft cushion for the piston and the spring and burn off any excess grease that might be in there without a huge amount of detonation. So I shot the 21.1 grain Kodiak. And I couldn't find my lead ones. These are lead. They're just coated in copper, a very thin deposition of copper. They're pretty cool pellets. And that performed, of course you would expect miserably, the 400 feet per second for 7.5 foot-pounds. And just for fun, after my other testing, I tried the standard Crosman Premier Hollow Point, 14.3 grains, at 9.43 foot-pounds at 545 feet per second. But I didn't expect that to particularly perform well either. But the Barracuda Green for 22 spring guns, really the 1.7 guns too, but this is my favorite pellet for 22 spring guns, which are generally going to shoot kind of slow. Heavy pellet's going to shoot at particularly low power. I think the fact that these are non-lead, the material is slipperier, if that's a word, than lead. I think that's part of what accounts for the increased performance using the Barracuda Green. I don't see the increase in performance with PCP guns, and I think that's because of the difference in how they work. The PCP gun, the pellet continually gets shoved as it goes down the barrel, but with the spring gun, it pretty well acceleration is finished after 6 to 9 inches, and after that point, it's just slowing down in the barrel. So anyway, this pellet did what I expected and hoped the gun would do. And that was, oh here we go, 12.65 grain at 645 feet per second for about 11.7 foot-pounds. So just under 12 foot-pounds. It's what I would expect a gun of this size and age to do. If you all know better and a fresh spring would bump it up a little bit, let me know. And the client can certainly have me or himself change out the spring, but I think for what this is, it shoots. Can't tell how accurate it is because it's missing the rear sight. So I don't know if that's something we're going to want to fabricate. That sounds like a tough project. Or maybe just source it. Maybe get a crapped out one of these guns just for its sight. Might be a cheap way to go. Or not cheap. I think these guns actually go for a fair amount of money. They'd have to be particularly crapped out, I think, to be cheap enough to buy it for the sight. That's probably a bad idea. Well, I don't know what the fellow's going to do for the sight. I could try to fabricate something if it comes to it, but I think that would probably look homemade. And anyway, let me get to the last part of the repair, which was the gun would not, the piston would not latch up with the trigger, and it's just a straight sear, I guess, a direct sear. It's just the other end of the trigger blade is a hook which latches onto the back of the piston, and there's no mechanical advantage beyond the length of the trigger blade for you know, as a lever. So the little bump of metal that sticks out of the cocking attachment here has got a little bump of metal that hangs down inside and engages the piston, pushes the piston back. Well, I had a pretty good gap there because that little bump of metal was pretty wore out. In fact, it almost looked like there might have been a little bit of metal that sheared off of it, because it had a sharp and shiny edge kind of halfway around the perimeter of the little shape. Well, whatever. I put a little spot of weld on there and filed it round and smooth, and now we don't have much of a gap, and it cocks, it latches, it shoots, and yep. So I think that project is finished. I wiped the whole, I was going to share with you that I did spray it down with some Rem oil afterwards. The client did not want the metal worked on or the wood worked on. I think a lot of times with antiques, the aged patina is what people want. Me, I'd probably clean up the metal, do a rust blue on it, clean up the wood, put a fresh finish on it, and make it look like the day it was made. But each to their own, right? There's those two ways of looking at how to do an antique restoration. So that's cool. I just soaked it down with some Rem oil to preserve what's there. Used liberal amounts of moly where necessary, like on the pivot pin here, which is not a pin, it's actually a bolt with a little captured screw. Oh, and I was going to mention this for Mr. Client, that I don't expect this gun to be shot a lot, so I did not treat it as one would a daily shooter, which would be blue Loctite on little screws that could come loose. It'd be a real shame if somebody down the road went and tried to put a screwdriver on one of these delicate soft metal screws and then, tweaked the head not knowing that it was Loctited and had to have heat applied to it first. So it's up to the client. If, I would say keep an eye on the screws, especially the little pivot. Whoop, get down in the camera here. The barrel pivot bolt has a little lock screw. Yeah, I'm on the right side there. That's the little lock screw right there. Maybe just check that every now and then, make sure it's not coming loose. Same thing as with these screws here that hold the trigger guard on. They're pretty long screws. They're not going to come out and disappear on you without you knowing. But this little screw, that'd be special. Probably non-replaceable. Make sure that one doesn't go away. Yep, I guess that's it. See, I talked longer than a YouTube short anyway. Any of you knowing me not to go on and on and on. Unless I'm sanding, and I don't talk at all. Okay, thanks everybody for tuning in. I got an update on the on-shoots. I got that going into the duplicator. I got a college class this weekend, about a 4-hour drive away, so I won't be in the shop again until next week. Thanks everybody for watching. Do that like, share, subscribe thing, and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I post. And thanks again for checking in.